Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga. This month, our theme is standing strength and supine stretch. And I visited with my participants on Tuesday to get some ideas of some featured poses as well. And we had some special requests to work poses that enhance our posture. So we're going to be focusing on up dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. I know that's hard to say 3 times fast. We're also going to be focusing on, we had a request for tree pose, vrksasana. So we'll be working on balance with tree. Option to throw some hand weights in some of our standing poses. We also had request for core. We'll be focusing on some good featured poses for our core work. And then our supine stretches will involve, we had a request for figure 4 or reclined pigeon, as well as some hamstring stretching work. So a lot of great options today as I throw in modifications to suit your body. So what I'd like you to do is start in a standing position. And we'll begin with our feet a little wider than hips distance apart, our toes turned out. Focusing on standing strength, we utilize our quads and glutes and our core to stabilize. Really reach up through the fingertips, take a nice 5-pointed star and a big breath in. Then as you exhale, bend your knees into the goddess squat and pull your elbows and your shoulder blades back. So I'm working on expanding through the chest, opening the heart, strengthening the back of the shoulder blades while we're stretching the front of the chest. So let's take that with a breath. Inhale, reach. Exhale, sit and squeeze the shoulder blades, open up the chest. So I'm starting this pretty small, and you might do the same as you're warming up. If you feel like you'd like to widen your stance and deepen the squat, coming down a little lower, play with that range of motion. That's all up to you. And sometimes we call this progression of movements moonflowers. And we're checking in with the knees, the hips, the feet and ankles, the shoulders, the lower back, and focusing on the 3 B's, which is the brain. We're staying connected to the movement with mindful awareness. The body, what our muscles and bones are doing, the actions. And the 3rd B is the breath. One more time. Moonflowers. Now our sunflowers, as you rise up, allow your wrists to cross above your head. Then bend your knees and hinge from your hips. Allow your wrists to cross toward the ground. And inhale, cross. Exhale, cross. So we really focus on bracing our abdominals when we hinge forward because there's a lot of work in the lumbar spine, in the lower back. Try to alternate which hand crosses in front as often as you can to balance that position. And then make sure that this full range of motion movement feels okay for your shoulders. The hips go back as the chest drops forward. And the pace of these movements is all up to you. You don't have to match my pace perfectly. Let's do one more sunflower. And then we are going to alternate one of each movement. So take a nice 5-pointed star, moonflowers, press up, cross the wrists, and a sunflower. Take it down. And a moonflower. Sunflower. Now maybe you can soften your gaze a little bit, even trying to close your eyes. Boy, that really changes proprioception and awareness. And notice how much your core is firing. 2 more of each. One more of each. A moonflower, really open up the chest. And a sunflower. Then reach up into five-pointed star, stretch up. Bring the fingertips to the back of the head if this feels comfortable for your shoulders. And take a side bend over to the right. Pull it up. And a side bend to the left. Options for your arms. They can be tucked here in front of you. They can be down by your sides, at your hips, or one arm can reach, and then the other. And just connect with the side waist muscles, as well as the big muscle in the low back region. It's responsible for side bending our body. Imagine your shoulder blades are sliding right against a wall, so we're not adding a rotation. And next time we go to the right side, we'll hold the stretch. Now, if you need a little support for your spine, you can place your hand right here so you're using your arm and not just activating the entire core here. And pull yourself up. We'll take a sustained stretch to the left. Option to support. And come up, reach back to five-pointed star. And lower the arms down. Take a step toward the top of your mat. So I'm going to turn forward here. I have a chair here. If you need some help with balance, you might have access to that. Feet are parallel. You can have them hips distance apart or closer or a little wider. As we take a breath up, lift up on the balls of the feet, elevating your heels any amount, and then lower back down. So just explore this. You might need to just bring your arms halfway up, a little higher, and bring your awareness to your balance. Now, if your feet are tight together in that classical form of yoga, this is going to be a little bit harder. So if you need to take a wider base of support for balance, you can widen those feet. That might make it a little easier. Let's do two more. Now let's sit into chair. Arms can come forward. Again, they can come up, so any height with your arms. And then as you rise up out of chair, open the arms out into goalpost and take a little baby back bend, shining the heart upward. And sit into chair. The arms can come forward or press at the palms. Exhale, open back. Now let's sit into chair and see if you can lift those heels up off the floor. So I have my chair here just in case I need a little light touch. Drop the heels and rise up, open. Come down, bending the knees, elevate the heels. Even if you've just got them up enough to slip a little piece of paper under your heels, that's okay. And open. Let's do two more. And one more. Heels lift. We drop and open. And then come to mountain pose. Shoulders are back. Really good posture here. Take your right foot, step back into high crescent lunge. So the ball of the foot is connected to the mat, the heel is lifted, and we bend the front knee. The back knee can also bend, or we can keep that leg straight. And if you have problems with your toes, you can plant your heel down into a warrior one. And then step back in. Let's take a chair pose. Raise up on the balls of the feet. The heels lift. They lower and we come up. Back to mountain. Step your left foot back. High crescent lunge or warrior one. Step into chair. Raise the heels. Lower. Come up and expand. Mountain pose. Right foot back, high crescent lunge. Press your palms at your heart and start to turn your body toward this front foot into a twist. Come back to the midline. Step forward into chair. Lift the heels. Lower. Rise up, expand, open your heart. Back to hands pressed at the heart center. Left foot steps back. High crescent lunge or warrior one. Get your balance and turn to the right toward that front leg. And come to the center. Step into chair. Option to raise up off your heels. If you're struggling with that, have something to hold on to so you can make it feel a little bit more successful. Lower the heels. Come up, expand the chest. Press at the heart and relax your arms by your side, mountain pose. If you'd like to add light hand weights, I have some 5s here, so you can take those in your hands. They'll just enhance upper body strengthening, but you don't need to do that. That's absolutely fine. We'll sit into our chair pose, bringing our arms forward a little bit for a slight shoulder raise. Try to lift your heels. Now you might find this is a little easier because you have some leverage. Drop those heels down. Raise up, turn your palms behind you and lift your arms back, working the backs of the shoulders. Lower the arms, bring them to heart center, step the right foot back, high crescent lunge or warrior one. Option to bring the arms up, elbows a little bit lower than your shoulders. Twist to the left. You can also keep those weights at your chest. Come back to the center. Bring the weights into the heart. Step forward into chair pose. Arms can be out in front. Palms can be up or down. Lift your heels up off the mat. Lower the heels, stand up, bring the arms behind you. Lift your arms up, strengthening the back of the shoulder and the triceps, opening up the chest. Bring the weights back into the heart. Step the left foot back. High crescent lunge. Option to open into our goalpost or cactus arms. Twist to the right side. And center. Step back into chair. Let's do that one more time on each leg. Choose what you'd like to do with the arms here and raise off those heels. Drop them down. Stand up. Bring the arms behind you. Palms can face up or inward toward one another. Drop your shoulder blades down. Bring those arms back into the chest. Step the right foot back, high crescent lunge or warrior one. Optional goalpost and twist to the left side. A lot of standing strength and control here. Come back to the center. Bring those hands into heart. Step forward. Drop down into chair. Extend the arms out anywhere you'd like and lift those heels up Activate the abdominals. Drop the heels. Left foot steps back. Optional goalpost. Twist right. Nice. Come back in and step the back foot forward. One more chair pose. Strong and solid, the heels elevate. We drop them down, stand up, push the arms back, opening up the heart. And release arms by your side and release the hand weights. Ooh, how did that progression feel? Pretty good for everybody? So let's come into a cobra. So the way we're going to get there, we'll take a nice breath in, reach up, exhale and fold into a forward bend. Let's stay here for just a moment and relax the hamstrings and low back. Knees can be bent a lot for tight hamstrings. And then when you're ready, step back with the feet, come all the way down to the mat, to your hands and knees. So we'll take a cow pose. Let the belly drop down, the bum lift up, and the heart forward. And imagine that you're pulling your hands along the mat here. That's going to help your heart to glide through. Then come into cat stretch. Tuck the tailbone, round the back, and imagine you're pushing your arms forward on the mat. So feel that intention in the shoulders. And then let's go back to our cow. Pull the hands toward you. And up into cat, push the arms away from you. Working on spinal mobility. Now from your cat stretch, push back to child's pose. So your heels are hips drop toward your heels. Drag yourself forward and drop your hips down any amount. And this is our kneeling upward facing dog. So go slow between these two poses to make sure that feels okay for your back. So our upward facing dog in our Sanskrit is adho, meaning upward. Mukha, facing, and svanasana, which is our dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog. So whenever we do an up dog, we can keep those knees down onto the mat. Let's do one more. Brace your core on that back bend. And then start to bend your elbows and let your belly come down to the earth. So for our cobra pose, not a lot of weight in your hands, but you're going to use them for assistance a little bit. Tighten your thigh muscles, press the tops of your feet into the mat, and rise up any amount and back down. So we're using the muscles of the back to lift with just a little bit of help with the arms to maybe find the range of motion that feels good for you. 2 more. Make sure you're breathing one more time. Press it up. And lower down. Then with the strength of your arms, push back up to that kneeling up dog. Any amount of back bend. Scoop your abs in and press back to child's pose. Excellent. So let's walk the hands in. Rise up to the knees, and we'll use the right leg and take a big step forward. So one thing functionally in life that we need to work on is standing up off the ground. If you need your chair, you can bring that to where it's accessible for you to use to help you stand up. But my goal is for you not to use that chair unless you absolutely need to. You can place the hand here, and we'll tuck the back toe under and stand all the way up. Once we stand, our eccentric work is we are going to lower all the way back down until that knee finds the mat. Now, if that complete range of motion doesn't work for you, you can come halfway down any amount. We're going to stand up 4 more times. So if you need that chair, have it out in front of you and stand and come back down. Good. On your own, 3 more. Here is okay to brace as well. 2. One more. Stand. Then step your back foot forward and release the chair. All right. So let's turn to where we have our right hand on the chair. So I'm going to turn this direction because this is my right hand. And then we'll stand on the right foot, come into tree pose. So our left knee comes forward, then out to the side. So stay right where you're at, and I'll come around and give you the opposite viewpoint. So we are going to open that knee. Make sure your hips stay grounded forward. We can tap our big toe to the floor if we need help for balance. We can bring that foot to the lower leg. We want to avoid pushing it right on your knee, or you can bring it up a little bit higher to the inner thigh. My pants are too slippery to do that today. So find the place where you can hold your balance. We bring our palms to the heart. And then imagine that you're just slightly pushing your foot into your leg like there's a little sponge underneath your foot, and you're just trying to squeeze the water out of the sponge. It's not too forceful, but enough to switch your inner thighs on. Then you're going to activate this glute muscle to pull the knee outward. Nice job. And our option is to stretch the fingers high, reach. Now remember our side bend we did in the warm-up. If you can bring your hands here, you can use your chair for a little bit of help, and we'll take a side bend toward the bent knee, and then a side bend toward the straight leg. Oh, this is super challenging. So use your chair if you need. And it's just absolutely fine if you tap that big toe to the floor so you've got a little bit of help. And let's press the palms back to the heart and come back to stand. Face the front of your mat. Get ready to come down again into our upward facing dog. So take a breath in, stretch up. Exhale, forward bend. If you need to linger there for a little bit, great. When you're ready, step back to your hands and knees. Come into child's pose. So the way we did our up dog before was from child's pose, coming forward, dropping your hips any amount. So if this is the one that works good for you today, you'll continue, or you can press yourself up into a downward facing dog, dropping your heels, and come forward. You can keep the toes tucked, or you can turn the tops of the feet to the mat. And this one, you'll keep your knees up into upward facing dog. So go back and forth 3 more times, working on that up dog from the knees or from the toes. And sometimes I like to just go ahead and keep my toes tucked under because it's a great stretch for the plantar fascia, for the bottoms of the feet, for the toes. But I know it doesn't always work for all of us. So if you need to flip those feet, absolutely fine, or come to your knees. We have one more up dog. And then back to either down dog or child's pose. You choose. And then lower your knees down, and we'll get ready for our standing up off the floor sequence. So we'll take our left foot forward. Option to use our chair right in front of us. Tuck the back toes under. Push yourself all the way up. So we have 5 repetitions, or if you're going faster, you can get in a few more. Come down with control. And if you can only come halfway down, that's okay. But let's work on strengthening those legs and being able to get up off the floor with no assistance if possible. 3 more. Slowly coming down so you're resisting gravity. 2. And 1. Once you come up on that last one, step the back foot forward. And we have tree pose on the other leg. So this time we're going to hold our left hand on the chair. And our left knee is out. So I did the other side for you to demonstrate forward. So left hand is going to be on your chair. Lift that knee up, turn it out. Find the place along the leg where you can place that foot or keep the big toe connected. Shoulders over hips. Hips over the knee and foot. And let's see if we can open out and extend through the fingertips. So we're slightly pushing the foot into the leg like we were squeezing water out of a sponge. And we're activating the back of our glute to slightly pull this knee backward without turning your hips. So keep them directly head on, like 2 little flashlights shining forward. Now can we add our side bend? Using the chair if you need to. So this is a big challenge for balance because we're shifting our body's center of gravity while we're in the tree, and maybe you're leaving out the side bend today and just focusing on balance. All right, palms come back into the heart. Step the foot back down. We come back into mountain. Nicely done. Okay, step again forward toward the top of your mat. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up, stretch. Exhale, come into your forward bend. And step your feet back, come back to your hands and knees. So we'll extend the right leg straight back. Slightly drop the belly, lift the leg up, squeezing the glutes, slightly glide the chin forward. We're not throwing the head back, but we're lengthening the front of the neck. Then pull your core in like you're doing cat stretch and bring your knee in toward you. Extend it back. Now this time, bring the knee toward the outside of your right elbow and look that way. And extend it back. And then bring your knee slightly across toward the left elbow. Extend it back. Then lower your knee toward the mat. So we have 3 movements on the left side. Extend the left leg back. A little bit of a cow feeling with spinal extension. Exhale, the knee comes right in, round your back up. Exhale. Inhale, extend back. Bring that knee toward the left elbow on the outside. Extend it back. Knee comes across toward the right elbow. Extend it back. Back to hands and knees. So we're going to do 2 more rounds of this on each side. You have the option to stay on your hands and knees or take this up to the next level, lifting the hips up into downward dog. So it's the same progression. The right leg extends back and up. Glide forward to plank and pull your knee in toward your chest. Extend it up. Pull the knee to the outside right elbow. Extend it up. Pull the knee across left elbow. Extend it up. And lower the leg down. Left side. Inhale. Exhale, knee comes right to the middle. Pull your belly in, round your back slightly. Inhale, up to the outside, left elbow. Inhale, up, across to the right elbow. Inhale, up, lower the leg. Take a child's pose to rest the wrists and shoulders, mostly for those of you that were doing the down dog version. So we have 1 more. And decide what you're going to choose from the knees or from the toes. All right, let's come back up. So we're either starting here, all 4s, or tucking the toes in our down dog. Right leg lifts. Knee right into chest. Right leg lifts. Outside to the right elbow. And I'm looking that direction, firing the core. Lift. Left elbow. Lift. And lower that leg. We have 1 more. Breathe it in, stretch up. Right to the center. Breathe it in. Outside, left elbow. Breathe in. I know this is challenging, guys. Across, right elbow, last one. And breathe it in. Lower the leg. Drop the knees. Child's pose, balasana. Hands go behind your body. Just check in. The 3 B's. What happened to your breathing? It should be up a little bit. What's happened in your body and in your brain? Are they all connected? Are they a little disjointed right now? All right, let's come on up. It's time for our supine stretch. You might need to have your yoga strap. So the first stretch isn't exactly supine. It's a side lying stretch, and we don't often do this stretch this way. So if you need to roll onto your back to do this, that's absolutely fine. But we are going to come down onto the right side body. Take your yoga strap, place it under the bottom of your left foot, and take that leg forward. Now, for just a moment, let's just relax it to the floor and make sure you feel comfortable in this position. To tweak it a little bit, to use your core more, the bottom leg's going to be straightened, but that makes it a little bit more difficult to balance. So if you need to bend this bottom leg any amount, that's going to help you stabilize. So hold on to this strap and lift the leg and see how high you can bring it up without rolling your body back. This is a nice one to do with your back along a wall. And then lower that leg down. Now, does this leg need to be out at 90 degrees? No, it can be down here a little more. And let's bring it up and lower down. Notice what muscles you're activating to lift that leg up, where you're feeling the stretch. We have 2 more. I'm using the strap to help me lift this leg up a little bit. So I'm actually using my arm slightly. Okay, let's come up to your full range of motion. Hold wherever you can go. You can try straightening out this bottom leg and breathe. Lengthen, lengthen. So where are you feeling the stretch? It should be a combination of your hamstring and your inner thigh. Excellent. One more breath. And then lower that leg down. So if you have your strap here, you can switch hands. So you're holding it with the other hand. Lay down and try to drop this top shoulder back toward the floor, extending your arm out to the side. So a really nice twist here. So if this is feeling too intense, you can bend that top leg, bend your knee, or keep it extended straight. We're feeling this a little bit in the IT band. It's a nice rotation for the core. And I feel a big stretch in my pectoral muscle on the back arm, right into the chest. Okay, so the leg that's extended out, that top leg, will go ahead and bend your knee. You can release the strap and roll to your back, and that leg becomes the top leg for figure 4 stretch. Hug your knees right up into your chest and breathe. Flexing both ankles. This is a wonderful hip opener, and depending on how tight you are in your hips, this might be a big stretch, or you might say, I'm not really feeling it quite so well. And if you'd like to add a hamstring stretch on the opposite leg, we can toss our strap over the bottom of that foot and extend the leg up. And as you pull that leg in closer toward you, you'll even feel more of a stretch in the hip of the bent knee. We're here 2 more slow breaths. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and release the strap if you're using it. Lower those legs down. Uncross the ankle. Bring both knees up into your chest. And we are going to roll like a ball to sit up. So hands going to go behind your legs and start to propel yourself up a little bit. A couple more times until you can come all the way up. If that doesn't suit you, just roll to your side and come up to seated the way that works best for your body. Okay, so let's come down onto lay on the other side. Have your strap handy because that's going to go under the ball of the foot of the top leg so you can get it situated. Come on down. Bottom knee can be bent to start to help us stabilize. And then just decide on this side, how far forward or back can you bring this leg? And our goal is to be able to keep it straight if possible. And then use that strap to help you as you lift the leg up. So this is called horizontal abduction in our Western kinesiology terms. So we're going away from the midline of the body along the horizontal plane. We're going slow and we're using the arm to slightly help, making sure that your hip doesn't roll back. 2 more. On this last one, we'll be holding wherever your range of motion takes you. Bottom leg can extend straight, which is a little bit harder to stay balanced, and keep your hips stacked. Breathe. Nice job, everyone. Just a few more breaths here. Hold. Excellent. Let's lower it back down. And then switch your hands on the strap. So the underneath hand comes to grab. We roll back onto the back and try to take that top shoulder back as far as you can. And make sure this arm is comfortable. So I don't want it hanging in the air because that's going to be detrimental for your shoulder and hard to keep that. So if you can't get your arm to come back to the floor, like mine is not touching, then bring it here to your waistline or set your hand right down by your side so you're not straining your pectoral muscle. And for me, my gaze is straight upward, but you can turn your head any direction that feels good for this pose. Remember, this knee can bend if that feels better for you on this twist. Let's take a few deep breaths right into your rib cage. So as you inhale and fill the lungs, allow your ribs to expand, opening up the intercostal space. Now that you've been here a little bit, maybe this arm can touch the floor now. I'm a little closer, but not quite there. One more breath. Then this leg that you're stretching here, this one will bend as you roll over onto your back, and that leg will become the ankle that crosses over for figure 4. So this knee is going to press out from us a little bit as we bring the knees up to the chest. And there's a lot of different ways we can hold this. I like to relax my arms and push with this bottom leg to press the top leg in. But you can also reach through your legs and pull with your arms. Or we can use our strap, lasso it around that right foot, or right foot for me, but I think it's left for you guys, and take it up. So now the further we bring this leg toward us, it's going to push that bent knee toward our chest a little bit more and increase our figure 4 stretch. This is a wonderful modification of pigeon pose or cradle the baby. It's also a nice modification for a seated half cow face with the legs. Bottom line, it's a great hip opener. It's wonderful to stretch out those muscles of the glutes, help us prevent from having any sciatic nerve impingement. And just a few more breaths in our pose. Okay, very carefully, if you're using that strap, relax it off to the side. Lower the legs down, uncross, then hug both knees right up into your chest. And then we'll set our feet down to the mat about hips distance apart or a little wider, and your knees are that same distance apart. As we do a windshield wiper, both knees will come over to the right, and then both knees will come over to the left. And it's our intention to let the opposite hip lift up off the mat. And we're getting a gentle twist, as well as a stretch across the top of the thighs and the hip flexors. Our shoulder blades don't move. They stay pretty planted into the mat. So if your goal here is to experience a little bit more of this for stretching, I want you to keep going like this. If you'd like to key into our core a little bit more, then bring your knees up, your feet off the floor, and take both knees over toward the right. They can stay hips distance apart, or we can fashion them tight together. And then both knees over to the left. And again, your opposite hip will lift up off the floor, but your shoulder blades should stay down. So 2 wonderful options depending on what your goals are. You choose the pace, and let's take it one more time each direction. And back to your midline. Bring your feet down to the floor about hips distance apart. Press into your feet as you lift up into a bridge. Tightening through your glutes, and our intention is to open right here through the hip flexors. And then working on the mobility of our vertebrae and our spine, start to come down one at a time. So I want you to feel each one of your backbones touch the ground separately, especially when you get here to your lower back. So this is going to require you to tilt your pelvis in a posterior position so you can get that low back to come down one at a time. And then once you come back to neutral, inhale, then try to come up one at a time. So tuck that pelvis, push into your feet, lift, lift, lift until you come up to your comfortable height. And then rolling down slowly. Come back to neutral one more time. Inhale. Exhale, tuck. Pressing that low back down, then peel it up off the floor like you're peeling a piece of tape up off your mat. And when you get to the top, hold. Fire these muscles of your glutes and your hamstrings to open up the hip flexors and to increase the stretch in your thighs. And coming down again slowly, one vertebra at a time. Tucking the tailbone, coming back to neutral. So for some of you, this might be where you'd like to stay for 2 more repetitions. We can also do a reverse plank, which requires us to roll ourselves up to seated and to take our hands back behind us and to lift our hips up off the mat from here. So this is a lot of tension in your shoulders. So if you have any shoulder issues, stay on the mat and do your bridge pose twice more. So here with our reverse plank, the knees can be bent a little bit or straight. And we are going to slowly lift our hips up, 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 up off the floor. Feeling a nice stretch and openness through your shoulders, coming up any height, and then using the control of your core to lower your hips back down. And before we do our second set, reach forward through, take a forward bend, or you're just relaxing your hips down to the mat in your bridge pose. And then your choice of movements one more time. So in this one, we want to really get the shoulders to open. So where you have your hands might make a difference for you. So your fingertips can point this way, they can turn out a little bit, or they can go back. I want you to be able to get a nice lift in your chest and a shoulder stretch. All right, let's give it a try. Push into the heels or the feet, lift up. And then slowly coming down if you're in bridge. Again, one vertebra at a time, or you're lowering the butt down in your plank. And then if you're seated, take a forward fold. And then if you're up on your seat, you're going to need to roll back down with everybody that's on their back in bridge. So we can keep the legs extended straight. We can bend the knees. We can hold behind the thighs and use your abs to come back down. Once we're there, the right leg's going to bend in and open the knee out. So this is our supine tree pose. So the hips should stay forward. This knee opens out. Now we have gravity to help us open this hip. The bottom leg is extended straight. The thighs are tightened and the toes are pulling up. Arms are wherever you want to be. You can bring them to those goalpost arms, stretch them above the head, or just relax them on your belly. So remember when we were standing, we pushed the foot in toward the leg, like we were going to squeeze out a sponge. Avoid your knee right here. So either above or below, slightly press in, and then push this knee down to the floor by activating your glute. So we can do this pose like a resting pose, a restorative pose, but right now it shouldn't feel like you're resting. It should feel like you're activating. One more breath in our reclined tree. And then the right leg extends out to straight. The left knee bends and then opens out. How does this side feel? Keep the right leg strong and active. Pull your toes up so you feel a stretch along the bottom of your foot, the back of your ankle, and your calf. And then avoiding the knee joint, push your left foot into your right leg just a little bit so you've activated your inner thigh. And then press your knee toward the floor by squeezing your gluteal muscle. So we have a super active pose here in the lower body. Your core is also braced and you're breathing. One more breath. And then for just a moment, elongate that left leg back out. And we'll prepare to push the soles of both feet together for our reclined butterfly. So open up those knees, soles of the feet to touch. I am not super flexible in this pose, so you'll notice my knees are pretty high up off the floor. You might be able to completely touch your legs down or anywhere in between, just depending on the mobility of your hips. And it's all good. Okay, imagine you've got that sponge between your feet. I want you to push your feet together and then push both knees outward. So we're not relaxing right now in this pose. We are active, strengthening and stretching simultaneously. Arms wherever you'd like. Now, if you want to activate a little bit more, keep pushing into your feet, keep opening your knees, and then see if you can lift your bum up into a baby bridge. So we've got a lot going on right now in this pose. Push your feet together. Drive your knees open and potentially lifting up your hips, even 1 inch. 2 more breaths. Now, if your hips are up, let them come down. Relax your legs completely. So there's no pressing in, no pressing out. Just completely soften those muscles and allow gravity to work for you. Let's close our eyes and just take a little bit of a journey back through class today, just reflecting. If there was anything that you learned about your body, that you learned about yoga practice, that was maybe an aha moment for you. And give yourself some positive self-talk. Great job. And then come into, again, the 3 B's and that connection between the brain, the body, and the breath. That connection is yoga, which stands for union. The union of the mind, the body, and our breathing. Quiet your mind. Send away any distractions from the outside world. Reduce the awareness of sight by closing your eyes. Increase the awareness of the temperature of the room. Of the feel of your clothing on your body and the mat underneath you. Maybe a fragrance in the room. Then very slowly close your knees together. Decide a side of your body you'd like to roll to, and you'll lift that particular arm up slightly. Push into your feet to lift your hips off like you're doing a bridge and roll onto that hip you're rolling to and come to a sideline position. Let's use the strength of our hands and arms to press ourselves up into simple cross-leg pose. We'll take a breath together, reaching up. Press the palms and drop the thumbs into the forehead, our area of knowledge and wisdom, as we linger here for positive thoughts for the rest of our day. And bring those thumbs to the lips for positive words, that positive self-talk for ourselves as well as those around us. And then the thumbs come to the heart for positive actions in all that we do. And the light and joy that resides within me honors the light and joy in each of you. Namaste. I'm so grateful for all of you, and I always enjoy teaching you so much today, and I enjoy our chats after class. So if you can stay on for a minute or two, I'd love to hear from you. If not, I hope to see you tomorrow for our LisaBug cardio. And send me a message if you can't stay on today and let me know how everything felt for you. All right, so let's get our recording off here and we can begin.